everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to Mystical Munchies featuring the Star Wars Life Day Cookbook. The ale pie roast was actually pretty good last week, so this week we're on to a much more difficult recipe as we're making the dessert, Klatooine Crepes. First up, let's tell the story. Going beyond your culinary comfort zone comes with the territory of being a chef. I've always done my best to keep an open mind and an open mouth when it comes to trying out something new. Yet somehow, the Hutts make my edible explorations look basic and bland. See, the Hutts will eat just about anything you put in front of them. I've witnessed those gargantuan gangsters slurp down plenty of live meals, so it made me stop to ponder what they find so appealing about them. In the case of the Klatooine patty frog, it's the color and texture they adore. Fortunately, I was able to reproduce these qualities in a festive dessert that'll please just about anyone. No frogs required. And no live ingredients of any kind for that matter, which is always a good thing. I normally have an open mind, but yeah, the Hutts are just kind of a line too far for me as far as their willingness to go through live ingredients. Anyway, that minor ramble aside, the ingredients for this are waiting for us at the table, so let's move in that direction. You can definitely hear the water bubbler humming in the background, and you'll hear the oven chirping. The oven is not needed for this recipe. In order to put this recipe together, you might see a rough two-part split here. So to make the filling, we need half a cup each of unshredded sweetened coconut and light brown sugar, along with a quarter cup of full-fat coconut milk. I don't know if that's full fat or not. As far as the crepes themselves, we need another cup of the coconut milk, a teaspoon of pandan extract, which I unboxed on Thursday, 2 large eggs, 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter that's been melted, a cup of all-purpose flour, and a teaspoon of salt. With that, let's move into the kitchen and we'll start putting this recipe together. The recipe as written, which will be in the description below as usual, lists the step to make the filling first. We're going to make the crepes themselves first though, and we'll see why I'm going to do this in a second. So, to start off with, we're going to take our ingredients for the crepes, starting off with the coconut milk, which is, well, it's not being listed as low fat, so I'm not sure if it's full fat or what the story is there, but we'll start off by putting that in. There we go. We want a cup of this. Oh dear. Okay, that's a bit more than a cup, but I think we'll work with it. Okay, I will need that again, so I don't want to go too far with it. I probably needed to shake it up before I used it. We'll grab our pandan extract. See if I can open this without any complications. Maybe after I get this label out of the way a bit. Hold on. There we go. Now it should open. Once we stop making sure the lid turns with it, it'll open a lot more easily. There we go. Whoa. And I'm not, okay, I think I know where the green color in the I think I know where the green color in the example recipe or in the photo in the cookbook is going to come from. Okay. That can go toward the dishes. I'll give my hands a quick wash. And yep, even as I'm putting it on the paper towel, I know exactly where the green color in the I know where the green color in the sample photo is coming from. Our 2 eggs, we need those next. So I've got those right here. Easy does it. Okay. There's one. And here's our second egg. Okay. Those can go back in the fridge. Let's see, now we want the butter. I'll see if I can get my small spatula out of here, which that is not, so hold on just a second. There we are. So we can scrape the butter out, or as much of it as we can get out anyway. Okay, we've got that. Next we want the cup of all-purpose flour. Okay. And the 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Actually, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, never mind. The salt can thankfully go back up at this point though. Now we want to blend this together until it's just combined. So here's your 5-second warning before I turn the blender on. Holy crap. I want to see if I knock, because I've got some of the flour still along the sides. I'm going to get a scraper, I'm going to get a spatula in there so I can see if I can get some of that blended in. I'm going to need the spatula in a minute anyway for the next step coming here. So I'm going to get my spoon rest, get the spatula back out of the way. And we'll see if we can get the rest of this blended in. Yep. Oh boy, would help if I put it on the right speed. Alright, I'm gonna see if I can pull, because I still see a fairly sizable couple clumps of flour down over here toward the corners. See if I can get that mixed in as well. I'm probably already past the point of no return in terms of how much I want to blend this, but See if I can scrape down the side. Whoa! Crap. That's not what I was trying to do at all, for obvious reasons. Hang on. You prop that like so, and I'll grab a paper towel so I can see about wiping the lid down. That was not what I wanted to have happen in the slightest. So let's see if I can... So I'm also going to have a hard time scraping this out from the looks of it. Well, let's see what we can do here. Oop. Unfortunately, I think that's probably about as much as I'm going to be able to do with it, so I will give my hands a quick wash. It got on the heel of my hand, but I don't like having anything on my hand, especially when I'm getting ready to handle fancy electronics like the camera. So I'm going to bring a bowl and shot. This isn't an official step of the recipe, but I'm making it a step here. So I'm going to pour the crepe batter into a bowl. Scrape as much of it as I can out. I should probably see if I can find a blender with a removable blade or something. I know there's food processors, and maybe that's what I need to use, but I'd like to see if I can find a good blender with removable blades. It'll make cleanup easier, and it'll also make extracting ingredients a lot easier. But I think that's as much of the batter as I'm going to get out of there. So now we come to the reason why I did the crepes themselves first. We'll give that a quick wipe off so it can sit on the counter for a little bit. Pandan extract can go back up. Actually, after I give that a quick wipe as well. Alright, I'm going to take the crepe batter. I'm trying to do a bit of cleanup here as I go. What we're going to do now that I've got all that cleaned up, is we're actually going to take the crepe batter into the fridge, and I'm going to let that chill for an hour. Just setting the kitchen timer on the microwave for an hour. So while that's chilling, we're going to make our way over to the stove. You might be able to see the kitchen timer and the stove going in shot just barely. Pay no attention to that timer because I won't be using it for this step of the recipe. I'm using that for something else I've got going on this morning. I'm just getting the timer I am going to use ready. So in a medium saucepan that we're eventually going to set over medium-low heat, we're going to combine the ingredients for the filling. So we'll start off with the coconut. Actually, better idea. Rather than pouring it into the cup, I'm going to scoop it out. There we are. I'll get that bagged up. And that can go all the way up. We'll get our brown sugar as well. Brown sugar can go back up as well, without me dropping the clip I was using to close the brown sugar. And another 1/4 cup of the coconut milk. Then we'll set that, sending everything else flying. Actually, I'm going to do a little bit of organizing for cleaning up the dishes a little bit later. So now we're going to set all of that over medium-low heat, so probably about a 2. I'll break that up a little bit, and I'm not going to bore you guys with this step because we'd be sitting here watching this for 10 to 15 minutes until everything is combined and slightly dry. After that, I'll set that aside to cool. But like I said, I'm not going to bore you with that. So we'll come back to this probably in about a little less than an hour when the crepe batter is chilled. I was just looking at the batter as it's coming out of the fridge, having been chilling for the last hour. And we're supposed to be able to get 8 crepes out of this, but I'm not sure we're going to. So what we're going to do is we're going to set a nonstick skillet over medium heat. So we'll take that up to a 5 this time. I probably should have gone a little bit higher on the filling in retrospect, but a little late to worry about that now. So we're going to take a 1/4 cup of the crepe batter and swirl it until the batter coats the bottom of the pan. So I've got my 1/4 cup of the batter here. I'll get my small spatula back out so I can scrape more of this out. Okay. We'll swirl that around so it coats the pan. Okay. So now we'll let that cook for 30 seconds until the edges are dry and the center is just set. Then we'll flip it over and cook for another 15. So let me set a timer here. For 30 seconds. And I've got tongs handy over here off camera, since I wasn't sure if I was going to want tongs or a spatula to be able to turn this. I think we got it over the right burner. Okay. I think I'm going to give this one another 30 seconds because I don't trust... Because it was the first one going on, so we're going to let that cook for about another 30 seconds. Since I didn't completely trust it. Okay, let's see. I'm going to get a spatula for this. I think spatula probably is what I want here. Okay. Yep, spatula looks like it was the right answer here. So we'll scrape that off, and once I get this turned, I'll let that cook for another 30 seconds on that side. Come on. Spread that out. We'll let it cook for 30 seconds. I'm also getting a plate out. Since we'll be moving that over. Since we'll be moving over to the plate here very shortly. Okay. Okay, that's actually working pretty well. So we'll move this over to the plate. I'll get the next. Actually, let me go ahead and wash my spoon rest real quick here. Just so I have that clean. I want to make sure I've got that clean so I can put my various utensils down on top of it. So I'm going to move this over to the plate over here. I'll start the next batter, start the next crepe. I'm going to get kind of a perverse assembly line going here. It's kind of a weird assembly line I'm going to have going. The batter's going to start in the middle, then going over to the pan, then back here to a plate. So I'm going to scrape that out. We'll swirl that around. I don't think most of these crepes are going to come out as evenly as I would like in terms of the shape. I'm spreading it out as much as I can. But like I said, I don't think they're going to come out clean, so I'll set that timer for a minute. Whoops, not defrost. Stop it. We'll set that for a minute cook. While what we're doing over here is I'm going to take a tablespoon of the filling, bring in a little bit more of the sugar part. We'll make a tablespoon of the filling. Then I want to fold the bottom, then the sides, and finally the top. So we'll fold the bottom, then the sides, and then the top. And we'll serve that seam side down. I'll move that out of shot. That will move over to my desk. Actually, we might be able to, we'll actually move that over to my desk for the taste test. I'll turn this next one over, but I'm not going to bore you guys. I'm not going to bore you guys with the whole assembly line here. I'm just going to get the next one started. And then I'll finish the rest of those up, and then I'll see you guys over at my desk for the taste test. I've got one of the crepes over here. One thing I will say that I think is going to contribute to how this recipe turned out is that the filling turned out a little bit more liquidy than I think I wanted it to. So that's impacting a little bit on the other crepes that I've got in the kitchen. But let's give this a taste and see what I think. Hopefully I can get both the crepe and the filling in here. Looks like I got mostly crepe there. So I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna try to get some filling here. Okay, we got some filling in here. So let me give this a taste and see what I think of it. I'm gonna turn the camera just a little bit, I think. Let me take a quick look at that. Okay. Yep, looks like it's got me mostly in shot. Now if I can find my desk chair, that would be helpful. But let's give this a taste and see what I think. I think I'm filing this one under a lot of work for not a lot of payoff. Now the crepe batter, the crepe itself was kind of bland, which I think is probably a good thing. You probably want the focus to be on the filling in this case. But I just didn't think there was enough there of the filling to be able to really taste that, to really bring out the crepe flavoring, well, the flavor of the crepe itself. So yeah, I think this one's going to be, like I said, this one's going to get filed under a lot of work for not a lot of payoff. It's not bad enough to be just an outright garbage dump. I've only had one episode. I've only had one recipe in the history of Mystical Munchies that's ever been a full-on garbage dump on camera. That was the dessert chimney back when I was cooking with Deadpool back in January of last year. It's been that long since I've had a full-on garbage dump. But that is another episode of Mystical Munchies in the books. Next week we will be on the drink, as we've got 5 Saturdays in the month where we'll be making Bantha Milk hot chocolate. A lot of great gaming content coming up on the channel. There might be a game tomorrow. Actually, there might be a game today, yet this afternoon. I haven't decided about that yet, though, since it is my group game day at my local game store. As for what's scheduled on the channel, Sunday morning we will be debuting Nemo's War on the channel. There might be another game on Sunday afternoon as well, but that's going to turn on my group game day here, whether that happens or not. What will be happening for sure on Monday is we're going to have at least 2 episodes of Metal Gear Mondays as we play Metal Gear Solid, the board game, from CMON. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.